the dais. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Laura Simpkin, having been elected to the office of school board member for the Madison Metropolitan School District, affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Thank you, Board Member Vandermeulen. And welcome to the board, Board Member Nichelle Nichols and Board Member Laura Simpkin. I'm going to read the summary of written registrations submitted. There is one in support of relocating Madison School and Community Recreation, MSCR, to the new Westtown Way site, but opposed to moving the specialized academics for individuals learning SAIL program to this new location. One in support of open up reading materials and professional development, but that serving dual language immersion students is a complex issue. One in support of including money specifically for achieving the MMSD clean energy goal. We have 4 speakers joining us by Zoom this evening, and Barb Osborne will bring them forward to give public comment.
First speaker I have is Diane Copon. The next speaker we have is Shannon Wieland. We have another speaker signed up, Bailey Wieland.
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me?
You can.
All right. Hi, my name is Bailey Wieland, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to speak at tonight's meeting and advocate for the continuation of the West Latin program. I really believe that this program has had the most significant influence on my future out of all my courses at West, and I'm extremely just grateful for the opportunity that I had to be a part of it. Currently, I'm a senior at West, and I was a student of Ms. Bayouth my sophomore and junior years, and I took Latin 4 and 5 under her instruction. These 2 classes had just an extremely significant impact, I believe, on my educational growth and my passion for the language. While I was under her instruction, I feel that both inside and outside of the class, she just provided constant resources to help me gain a level of just interest and knowledge that I just had never expected to achieve for a subject in high school, especially because I feel like I kind of came into the classes without like any passion for a specific subject. Even throughout the pandemic, while of course school was online, she continued to connect with all her students, and I always felt that she just showed very genuine interest in my personal development and gave a lot of personal attention to each student. And within the classroom, she created an environment that truly just encouraged a genuine interest for learning for the sake of learning instead of, I feel like, just getting the job done. And I always just really appreciated the very specific care and instruction that she provided each and every student, even within large classes where I'm sure that that was more difficult. And through her guidance during the pandemic, I was able to enroll in 2 classes this year at UW-Madison, which were Latin 301 and Latin 539, which I'm currently finishing up this semester. And I am currently planning on majoring in the classics at UChicago next year, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, and thank you again for the opportunity to speak today. And I definitely have hope that this program will continue next year so that other students just continue to have the opportunity to benefit from her instruction.
Our next speaker is Fabian McMurray.
Hello, can you hear me? Excellent. Okay, my name is Fabian McMurray. I am currently the Building Custodian 2 at Spring Harbor Middle School. And I'm also the Secretary for Local 60, representing custodial, maintenance, and food service. I'm here tonight to ask you to include all school-based staff in the monthly bonus pay. By leaving out some of our lowest wage earners, it has become an equity issue for the more vulnerable. Us hourly workers are already owed back wages from the Kronos outage that started December 11th in 2021. By not paying us, the administration violated a Wisconsin state statute that mandates employers pay for all wages within 30 days. Many of us are still owed earnings from overtime, shift differential, and out-of-class pay. Not to mention, we are being denied holiday premium for hours worked on Christmas and New Year's Day. This violates section 6.1 and 6.6 of the handbook. There were coworkers who left their kids to come in to do building checks on Christmas morning, and they should be compensated more, as we collectively agreed on. There are coworkers whose checks were smaller going into the holiday season, and that created real hardships for them. Some coworkers who counted on overtime took second jobs to cover lost income. And this is all while we are experiencing the same staff shortages everywhere in the district. Overtime is up, covering for lead workers is up. My coworkers have felt underappreciated from the unequal treatment, and I urge you to reconsider the bonus pay. Thank you.
I think there is one more speaker who's trying to get in. I'm just going to give them another minute, but we can continue on with the agenda until they're successful.
So I'm going to have our first in-person speaker for public comment in 2 years. Come up. Ray Mendez. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure. Is this better?
Yes.
Good evening, board members. My name is Ray.
So don't point it directly up. Okay.
Is that better?
I think so. Let's try
Can you
it.
hear me now? I kind of like that sound though. Good evening again. My name is Ray Mendez. I'm here as a representative of Madtown Mamas Disability Advocates. Some of you may know that Madtown Mamas is a peer-to-peer support group for families who have students with disabilities. We help them navigate obstacles that most people have no idea exist. Let that sink in. And we serve as a support system because we share life experiences. You know, before I had a kid who was disabled, it was a different life. I have a different life now. And I think that needs to sink in. People need to understand that. Today, we are addressing a change to the program called SAIL West. SAIL stands for Student Achievement Through Individualized Learning, and West refers to West High School. It's a program that's highly beneficial to students with disabilities. SAIL helps students with disabilities with individualized instruction and their rights to the least restrictive environment while they are currently located within their home school. This program has an immeasurably positive impact on its participants. Right now, the location of SAIL West is in the Hoyt building that's within 5 minutes walking distance of West. Tonight, you have a proposal on your agenda that seeks to change the location that these vital resources offer without engaging the school board teachers and families it would affect. While it ideally should be within the West High School campus, there's now a proposal to move it to the east side of Madison, which is a 15-minute drive away, and that's without traffic. This is unacceptable because that move would infringe on the rights of these students to a free and appropriate public education. Sequestering the students with disabilities in a building so far from their community is segregation. You cannot endanger hard fought for disability rights without a transparent discussion. If you feel the same, you have to agree that the future regarding SAIL West has a much more appropriate solution than one that's being proposed on today's agenda. Thanks.
Thank you. Barb, was the other person able to get in?
They were. Our next speaker is Diane Copan. Go ahead, Diane.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
You can put the
Yes,
video.
thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Dear Board of Ed and Dr. Jenkins, thank you for granting me the opportunity to share my truth. I am one voice out of the many school-based lead secretaries. As I am joined by multiple secretaries here, we represent 117 combined years in the district. While my truth is specific to my situation, many of us have common shared experiences. I am extremely passionate about taking care of my school community. We are the heart and soul of our school. Each and every student, parent, family, and staff member are important to us. We exhibit integrity, have upstanding character traits, and work ethic with honesty, dependability, and loyalty, not only to the district, but mostly to the families we are serving. They are family to us, each and every one of them. During COVID, I personally organized 9 material pickup days for our students. I alone loaded 384 grocery bags of supplies, each grade with different materials, done 9 times over. Any family that didn't pick up their bag had theirs hand delivered to their house to ensure that all students were kept on track during virtual learning. Not only were the nurses working endlessly to track the health of the students, as attendance takers for the schools, we were tracking everyone as well. We were the ear to the community. We often called to check in with families regarding their status, speaking with some and most at length. Through this, we further recognized the necessity for other supplies and responded to that as well. Along with this, when we originally went into lockdown, we organized a food drive at our school and delivered groceries to anyone in need in an effort to minimize the pressure of home life. Often these groceries were purchased by us or staff, as our students cannot thrive if our basic needs are not met. In returning to school after the surge of COVID, the issues have not gone away. They have just shifted. Now we have more behavior calls than ever. We may be in the office, but we're often assisting our student friends who aren't coping well. There are only so many people in the school, and more often than not, we fulfill this as well. Even though our COVID cases may be dropping, we are still partnering every day with the nurse by going through our absentee list, confirming students each day, those on the screener and who may need contact as well. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we continue to rise, pivot, flex, update, maneuver, always keeping students and families in our hearts. We realize that these last 2 years have been difficult for everyone and that many employees have been challenged in ways no one could anticipate. The school-based secretaries are one of those groups, yet we show up each and every day ready to do whatever it takes to serve our students, families, and fellow staffs. Because of this, we are perplexed as to why our particular group was denied the opportunity to earn the bonus pay that our colleagues have. We, as the school secretaries, are asking that we be reconsidered so our bonuses would be retroactive and align with the nurses. And I thank you for listening.
Thank you. I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular board meeting dated July 26, 2021.
Second.
Nama, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. We move into the board president's announcements. Celebrating students and staff, congratulations to 6 MMSD recipients of the 2022 Herb Cole Foundation Award. Please join me in celebrating Hawthorne Community Schools' Brenda Calise, recipient of the Teacher Fellow Award, which celebrates educators who inspire a love of learning in their students. Cherokee Heights Middle School Principal, Andu Ebb, who is being recognized with the Leadership Award for setting high standards for instruction, achievement, and character. And to East Senior Samuel Can and West Senior Danica Washer and Makanka Chinorio and Soren Calderado for demonstrating excellence in academics and achievement. We would also like to recognize Alice Servison, a science teacher at Hegel Elementary School, who is one of the 4 finalists from Wisconsin for the 2022 Presidential Award of Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. And finally, kudos to James C. Wright Middle School and Memorial High School for winning the 100 Black Men 2022 African American History Bowl Challenge. Celebrating our schools, April is School Library Month, and we would like to shine a light on our library and media technology specialists and extend our sincere gratitude for all they do, including selecting and sharing books that represent all students, helping students grow their love of reading, creating warm and welcoming spaces for everyone, maintaining access to online resources and devices for learning, and so much more. Thank you. April is National Volunteer Month, and we are so grateful for the outpouring of support our schools received when we put out our call for volunteers earlier this year. Our volunteers, whether serving as a support person in a classroom, providing clerical support in an office, supporting our food service workers, or being an extra pair of eyes and ears and helping hands at recess or in the halls, are an invaluable asset to our community. Thank you for being here to support our students and staff. That is it for my announcements. We're moving into the superintendent's announcements and reports.
I'd like to say thank you there, Chair Mulder, and to all of our board members, thank you too for this opportunity to speak to our budget book this evening. And before I do that, I would just like to welcome again new board member Simpkin to the table. and also Board Member Nichols to the table. Thank you so much for being here, okay? And this is a wonderful opportunity for me as superintendent, and I just think coming here August 20th, that seemed like a long time ago, but really, it really wasn't. And here we are, we're talking about the things that most we treasure in this particular budget book. And I'm gonna get right to my comments, but I wanna say thank you for wrestling with us, and we're gonna continue to wrestle together to make sure that we can live out all of our expectations here. Students are always at the center of our decisions we make for our district in MMSD. We're committed to co-creating a budget which prioritizes accelerating learning for all students while addressing disparities and attending to the socio-emotional needs of our scholars and staff. Thanks to our student-centered approach, MMSD continues to be a leader in high school completion rates, post-secondary enrollment, staff retention, and community support and engagement. However, despite our many successes, our district must continue to work to ensure all of our learning spaces are places where all students, staff can thrive. We are co-creating to make sure this happens for everyone, particularly students and staff from historically excluded groups. Our budget makes this a priority through investments such as a full-day 4K, our low class size, dual language immersion, college access programs. This commitment to our scholars, families, staff has also been made possible by a historic referendum passed by our community in 2020. Yes, this was significant. At MMSD, we also know the success of our students is based in large part of our world-class educators and personnel who make our schools what they are. They're really special and have always been special in Madison. Some of these shining examples are like Marianne Mott, the 2021 School Counselor of the Year, Dr. Evie, the 2022 Herb Cole Principal Leadership Award, Alita Lacrosse, Teacher of the Year from Madison Area Music Association, Jeremy Slip, the 2021 Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association President's Award. You have principals like Jackie Smith. You have teachers in our buildings like Miss Christine. You have custodians in our buildings that make our schools what they are today. We're committed to recruiting a diverse group of staff so our schools look like our communities. Yes, we also continue to provide competitive wages and benefits in order to ensure we can attract and retain top educators. That's our aim. This is essential to our students being able to graduate ready for college, careers, and the community, which we hold true to our heart. While we now have an opportunity to invest a significant amount of one-time funding innovatively across MMSD, we still face ongoing challenges which must be addressed. The district is at a unique moment in time as we continue to wrestle with a global health pandemic which has exacerbated the inequities in our public schools and society. This is being felt all over. We also continue to face the effects of racial injustice, global supply chain disruptions, and staffing shortages. All these things being felt globally. Despite the challenges faced by public schools, the Wisconsin state legislators continue to abdicate its responsibility to do the bare minimum for our public schools, forcing districts across the Badger State to make creative, so-called creative, but tough decisions over what's right and what's right. We're having to make decisions over what's right and what's right for our children. And strategic investments in order to keep prioritizing programs such as social-emotional and mental health supports, as well as summer acceleration. These are the very things that we need for our children to come out of this pandemic. Budgets are a reflection of our values and priorities. The 22-23 preliminary budget book reflects what is at the heart of MMSD. Tough work, but we're getting through it and we're going to do it together. This year's budget book represents our commitment to accelerated learning while providing every scholar who walks through our doors each day a positive, safe, inclusive learning environment where they all can thrive. Some of these strategic investments include the continuation of priority programs like Full Day 4K, Early Literacy and Beyond, and middle school daily world language. Also pushing in on the curricular work that we need to do for our Indigenous students. Empowering school communities through family, student voice, engagement, including diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. That's who we are as MMSD. We're going to continue to invest in our people, looking at our staff, looking at our students, looking at our community. We're going to continue to invest in library technology and media specialists, targeted strategy, tiered mental health supports, including the addition of social workers to lower the student to social worker ratio. The social workers have definitely been the ones, along with our nurses and many other staff, to help carry us through this pandemic. Programs which provide personalized opportunities that lead to post-secondary success, such as AVID expansion, credit recovery, Office of Youth Reengagement, Madison Promise, Early College STEM Academy, as well as programs to support homeless and highly mobile youth. That's a part of our equity strategy. We want to take care of everyone. We want to be about restorative justice, safety, and wellness as we make our way through this ending of this year and into next year. We're making investments in the arts, including the Summer Arts Academy. This is big for us because we do know that co-curricular activities are a strategy to assist with social, emotional, mental health, well-being, and making a well-rounded scholar. As we embark on this year's budget, we will not be making funding decisions in a vacuum. We remain committed to budgetary process, which is co-created, transparent, and collaborative, as we look to make investments in all students with an equity lens, from pre-K to post-graduation. We are in this together, and we will be encouraging all staff, students, families, community partners, and everyone else to join us in this process to creating a world-class investment in our students. And I just wanted to say thank you, and to the public, we ask you to please weigh in on our budgetary process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jenkins. Moving right along, reports and items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on April 4th, 2022. Board Member Pearson.
Thank you. So during our instructional work group meeting on April 4th, we received an update on the K-5 literacy and biliteracy core instructional materials adoptions in the process. We had further discussion. Tonight, we will hear and discuss the recommendation put forward by Superintendent Dr. Jenkins and make that adoption decision. So first, I just wanted to say thank you to the many folks that were on that selection committee and all the time that went into the evaluation of the different materials. From the beginning of the RFP, we got six I guess, proposals, and they took the time to put them down into 2 recommendations. And so tonight we will hear more about the recommendation that is being put forward. So let me move my motion. You want me to state the motion? You want me to state the motion? Yeah, okay. Oh. Okay. Yeah, we can move forward. Yes, that's fine. Remember Pearson? Yeah. Sorry, I'm in the wrong screen. I'm bringing up the. So then we also received the, I I guess I'm not sure where I'm at in here. Okay, so we also received the wellness check, and we got the updates as far as it relates to COVID and the cases and the direction that we are moving with COVID in schools. But then also to we have our proposed updates for the May 9th instructional work group meeting. We will continue to have our wellness updates and also have a briefing of the policy for 610 in the BEP. We also will continue having our academic updates and then also have the update of the at-risk plan. Then it will move into our summer sessions. So
Thank you, Board Member Pearson. Reports on items that proceeded through the Operation Work Group held on April 11th, 2022. Board Member Gomez Schmidt.
Thank you. At the April Operations Work Group meeting, we continued our discussions of the 22-23 school year budget, leading up to the public release of the budget book today that Dr. Jenkins highlighted in his report. We discussed the overview of the 2022-23 Excellence and Equity Project List, including an executive summary provided to the board. The list of projects for the 2022-23 Excellence and Equity projects uses primarily one-time funding as a surge strategy for services. We also discussed the debt resolutions coming before the board for tonight's April 25th regular meeting. We will be acting on the sale of bonds for the second portion of the 2022-23 referendum proceeds. We originally planned to bring this resolution in May, but moved it forward to the April regular meeting tonight due to concerns about increasing interest rates. We will also be acting on the defeasance or prepaying of the Fund 38 non-referendum debt as part of our budget balancing strategy for 2022-23. This action will free up $3 million in revenue limit authority by using one-time funding to prepay this issue. And finally, we'll be acting on the defeasance or prepaying of existing Fund 39 referendum debt related to the 2015 referendum and the Wilson construction refinancing. Prepaying these issues will reduce some of the future tax burden on our taxpayers by using one-time funding. Also in the operations work group meeting, we received an update on the employee handbook discussions from our executive director of human resources, Tracy Carradine, and that will be an ongoing discussion. We acknowledged and celebrated the service of our departing board members, Cris, Carusi, and Ananda mirilli. And I just wanted to take a few moments, given that we are accepting the budget book tonight, to just sort of highlight our conversation regarding the budget book and also with our two new board members joining us. The main themes of this budget is a significant focus on one-time funding versus operations resources from the state. The state biennium budget, as Dr. Jenkins mentioned, for 2021 to 23 contained no inflationary increase in the revenue limit. At the same time, we are experiencing significant inflation across the country. The district is forced to plan to utilize one-time funding from our ESSER awards while working to ensure that we don't create new recurring costs at the same time. Attached to the materials tonight and again on our website is our draft preliminary budget for 2022-23. And we will vote on this budget at the end of June and implement it on July 1st of 2022. We welcome community feedback in this draft budget, and this is very important to the board and to the administration. You can provide feedback by going to the MMSD website and clicking on the budget link, or emailing written comments to the board at board@madison.k12.wisconsin.us, or by providing public comments at upcoming board meetings. We will continue to work on the budget for the next 2 months leading up to our June 2022 board vote. Our next operations work group meeting will be held on Monday, May 16th. And I'm guessing we will take a deeper dive into the budget and further discuss that. As a note to board members, Cris Carusi mentioned at the operations work group meeting that a budget amendment process, and wanted to briefly mention that again. Ross McPherson will, he's creating an amendment proposal sheet that he will briefly explain. It's important to note that what we see before us tonight is a balanced budget. And that means that any amendments to the budget that board members might propose would also have to find a balanced or funding source somewhere in order to keep us at a balanced budget. With that, I'd like to have Ross join us. Thank you for joining us to give us a few more details on the budget.
Thank you, Cris. Thank you, board members. Good to see you all in person. It's been a while. Just a few more quick notes on the budget book tonight. This budget process incorporated significant shifts in the state budget for 21-23 that we've been discussing with the board for the last year. In the budget book we prepared for tonight, there are several key factors that guided our budget development. A $0 per pupil revenue limit adjustment for the entirety of the 21-23 biennium, a $0 per pupil categorical aid adjustment, which is now a frozen allocation. Our declining enrollment impacts experienced after the start of the COVID-19 pandemic continue to have a long-lasting impact on our revenue limit authority. We anticipate enrollment trends to continue to fall in the 3-year average going forward. An increased reliance on non-recurring exemptions and the revenue limit formula will continue to affect our revenue limit authority until enrollment stabilizes and the future state budget provides more recurring authority for districts to leverage. Our budget development has stuck to our goals and guiding principles we've been using for the past several years. As part of this process, the district has moved to preserve services as much as possible for 22-23 while using existing and one-time sources of revenue. This includes increased investments in full-day 4K, library media and technology services, social workers, avid teachers, and credit recovery. In this budget, the district has created a plan for 22-23 that includes $39.8 million of one-time ESSER funding. These resources are being used to address major areas of the federal grant program, including addressing learning loss of our students during the COVID-19 pandemic, investments in mental health services and supports, educational technology, and ongoing COVID-19 mitigation. We fully acknowledge that since these are one-time sources of funding, we must plan for these services to conclude at the end of the grant period. We will not be able to make any determinations about future commitments in these areas without knowledge of future state budgets. This budget also anticipates a 10% reduction in state aid payments to MMSD. Since the pandemic began, payment of state aid has been extremely volatile, due in large part to inconsistent educational spending statewide. We will continue to monitor the impact of state spending on our final aid amount all the way to our October budget vote. That being said, this budget includes a tax levy increase of 2.22% for all funds and a projected mill rate decrease of 20 cents to $10.20. It should be noted that most of this tax increase is attributed to estimated aid loss, not increased revenue limit authority. If our aid position improves, our tax impact will be reduced. Aside from one-time spending, the MMSD revenue limit is only increasing $3.4 million, a less than 1% increase in resources. This includes required spending on voucher programming, of which MMSD does not control. Following tonight's meeting, we welcome all feedback on our website, accessed directly at mmsd.org/budget. We'll be working closely with the Board of Education throughout May and June prior to our June budget vote to address any questions or concerns about this proposed budget. We will also begin our amendment process on May 1st. Throughout the month of May, we'll be working with the board members on identifying any questions or concerns in the 22-23 proposed budget. This timeframe will allow the business office to analyze any proposed amendments prior to the June operations work group meeting. We'll be sending out additional guidance to board members on the amendment process in the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Board Member Gomez-Schmidt. We're moving on to action items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on April 4th, 2022. I move that the Board of Education approve the expenditure in the amount of $4,663,657.60 for the instructional materials from the C&I ESSER CLRM budget. $1,599,612 for benchmarks and $3,532,870.60 for open up, and $462,000 for the professional development from CNI operating budget, $48,000 for benchmark, and $414,000 for open up 5,594,000/EL for a total expenditure of $5,594,482.60 for the purchase of core instructional resources for literacy and biliteracy in support of our elementary schools from the CNI, ESSER, and FY23 operating budget, respectively. Second, Board Member Vandermeulen. Any discussion? Board Member Gomez-Schmidt.
Thank you, President Muldrow. I just wanted to say that I'm in support of this recommendation to select the EL curriculum and for our K-5 English language instruction and benchmark for the K-5 bilingual and biliteracy instruction. And want to thank Dr. Jenkins and the CNI team and all of the teachers and staff who really put in a lot of work to evaluating our options and materials. To me, this option keeps our students at the center of our decision-making by providing the strongest literacy and foundational skills options for these two instructional models in literacy. And I believe that this investment, combined with our investments in letter training, will make a difference for our youngest learners as they develop their reading skills that will propel their learning through their K-12 education and beyond. We know that this approval tonight is just the beginning, as implementation is the next essential step. And I would like us to recognize the demands that we've already placed on our elementary level staff with the letters training and implementation of the new Amplify Science curriculum. And so, and also attention to the social emotional learning and mental health and all the pivots that have been necessary due to the COVID pandemic. My request is that we find a way to balance the desire to have all of these new programs functioning at once with the reality of how fast we can implement them all together. And I know that's on your mind already, and I know it's on the mind of the curriculum and instruction team. One other thing I want to acknowledge is that this option that we're choosing tonight is with the two curricula, the two literacy curricula, is a heavier lift for our schools that have both English language instruction as well as a DLI or a DBE program within their schools. And as we start working on the implementation, I would like to suggest that we work with these schools to determine what extra support they may need as they support both their English literacy and biliteracy programs. This may include additional staff, additional planning time, collaboration time. I don't know exactly what they will need, but I really hope we can work in close partnership with these schools to determine what those needs might be. And yeah, I'm just wondering if Dr. Jenkins, you can maybe give us a sense of when a more detailed implementation plan will be brought back to the board to discuss.
Most definitely, as we're going through this together, and in my comments tonight, you're going to hear it. In fact, I think you must have read my notes or something. You said a number of things I was going to say tonight, and I appreciate that. That just shows how much we're all in sync with this particular decision. But we're going to get together after the decision is made tonight, and then we'll talk to the administrators and the building reps on Thursday. And then we plan to come back to the next instructional group with an update as to what we do and the next steps. But we're working immediately to, after the decision is officially approved, to get started with the implementation piece of it. So the next instructional meeting, to answer your question correctly.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Is that all right? Board Member Vandermeulen.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I agree that this is her best option for our students. I think when we say all, we mean all, whether they be English language learners, Spanish language learners. I wish we could include every language of the 100 languages taught at MMSD. Unfortunately, we can't. I wish it was possible, and maybe someday that will happen as much as possible. What I would like, though, is we don't want to overstress our teachers, but I'm not just worried about them. I don't want to overstress a 7-year-old. I don't want to stress out 7 or an 8-year-old who still who's still learning through play, who's still learning how the world works. I don't want to make them jaded and cynical by putting everything on them all at once. So maybe we could take it one semester at a time and focus it that way if possible, to give students a break into learning how to do it. Because to be 100% honest, we're changing math, we're changing science. We are adding a more social emotional learning, which is absolutely and utterly essential. And we're changing reading. That's a lot for a kid. That's a lot for a college student. So I just want to hope that we can find a way to do it without overwhelming them. Number of clients I've had as a juvenile attorney with severe anxiety starting at age 10 that I've seen this year is absolutely enormous. And I don't want to add to the weight they already have. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Vandermeulen. Further discussion. Board Member Gomez-Schmidt.
I just wanted to say one positive thing. When I did visit some classrooms that were using different curricula, the kids were really excited and engaged in the learning that they were doing. So I think in providing the resources that we're going to provide, I think we're going to see a real engagement with the students and with the teachers and an excitement about learning. It's about bringing joy to learning and bringing engagement to learning. And I think this will help us deliver that.
Thank you, Board Member Gomez-Schmidt. I will say, I want to highlight the work of our instruction work group chair, Maya Pearson. This conversation and this decision, it took us a long time and a lot of thoughtful deliberation to get to this point. And for me, it was never a question of whether or not we needed materials. We all know that we need these materials. It was which materials we were going to invest in. And I think because of the work that our administration, our schools, and our board has done, I feel really confident in these materials being the right fit for our district and our young people. So thank you so much to the folks who allowed us to have this conversation thoughtfully and thoroughly over the course of the last few months. And I'm excited to continue to have this conversation. I will say, my major concern is no matter what materials we purchase and invest in, that we will arrive at a similar conversation a decade from now. And that conversation will continue to be shaped by disparities in literacy and in access to reading for students of color. And my hope is that if we continue to have this conversation and continue to center our young people and the young people who need our support and who have not historically had the same access to achievement throughout our district, that we will be able to produce different results. And that is why I am voting in favor of these materials and resources. Any further discussion? Board Member Castro.
Yeah, thank you. As my colleagues have said, I do want to give thanks to Dr. Jenkins, the CNI team, and the teachers and community members who engaged in that long RFP process with these 6 recommendations, spending all day for about 3 weeks at the Holtzman building, sifting through the materials. I have a lot of appreciation for what y'all did, and want to thank the community members who served on the literacy and beyond task force. That was the bedrock for this decision, and really want to give thanks to the University of Wisconsin-Madison and all other community members. We have a diverse coalition of learners here in MMSD with great social and cultural linguistic diversity. And so I appreciate that this recommendation also provides recommendation to all that linguistic diversity within our district, and attention to our students with IEPs and disabilities. But having said that, we're also confronted with the history of injustice with reading, and how many of our Black and Brown students have been, and students with disabilities have been disenfranchised from reading here in MMSD or strong reading practice and materials. So there is no one size fits all, and want to stress the adaptability that we will have to engage in. The ability to readjust our practices will be paramount, especially with pedagogy that is culturally relevant. And so I understand that. I'm looking forward to updates and future actions that we'll have to take. So every student in MMSD has the opportunity to learn how to read with strong practices and materials. So whether it be changing the implementation strategy or adjustments with supplementary materials and reviewing metrics, looking forward to the continuation of this conversation. Thank you.
Nama, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
Board Chair,
Yes.
I just have to say yes, okay? Yes! Yes! Thank you. And thank you to the team and to the community for this investment. Thank you. Yes! Yes!
My inner James Howard wants to remind you all that there is no clapping at board meetings. You know, every meeting, he said, we do not clap at board meetings. I'm gonna let you slide, Dr. Jenkins. Action items that proceeded through the operation work group held on April 11th, 2022. I move that the Board of Education approve a resolution awarding the sale of 106,000 general obligation school buildings and facility improvement bonds. Series, 1 million, this is 100 million. 106 million general obligation school building and facility improvement bonds, series 2022. Second, Nikki Vandermeulen. Any discussion? Nama, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7. I move that the Board of Education approve a resolution authorizing the redemption of the general obligation refund bonds dated August 10th, 2015, and general obligation promissory note dated August 10th, 2015.
Second.
Second, Board Member Castro. Any discussion? Nama, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I move that the Board of Education authorize a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds, the establishment of an escrow account with respect to and defeasance of the taxable general obligation refunding bonds, series 2021B, dated February 1st, 2021.
Second.
Second, Board Member Castro. Any discussion? Nama, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 7. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in Section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the April 25th, 2022 regular school board meeting, exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated hereby, subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board. Second, Board Member Pearson. Discussion? Separate 1024, Board Member Vandermeulen. Separate 1011. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of approving the rest of the consent agenda? I'm sorry, Nama, your advisory vote? Barb, did I lose Nama? Okay, there we go.
Okay, aye.
Thank you, Nama. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7-0. And then we are going to 1011. I move the Board of Education approve an expenditure for the purchase of LERNER classroom libraries in the amount of $238,320 and Custom Education Solutions Classrooms Library in the amount of $249,885.56 for a total amount of $488,205.56 using the CNI 2021-2022 CLRM budget. Second, Board Member Gomez-Schmidt. Any discussion?
Yes, I pulled this one. Very interested in the investments that we're making, again, at the K-5 level for our classroom libraries. And I was just wondering if we could get a basically a summary of the books that are being purchased. I can sort of click on the links and look at book packages and the numbers that we're purchasing. But just wondering like which schools are requesting them and where they're going and sort of what the intent is behind it for supplementing our classrooms at the K-5 level.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay, I don't want to make that noise.
Just not directly up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening and welcome Board Member Simpkin and Board Member Nichols. Yes, it's for all 32 of our schools and we're happy to provide a list. We know that even with the approval of the core materials, we still need to increase and enhance our classroom libraries. So this is a purchase for all 32 schools and happy to provide more details of the genres and the text if that is what you're looking for, Cris.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate
Perfect.
that.
Okay, sure.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, and if I recall from our last instructional work group meeting, this was a strategy of those supplementary materials that a lot of our classroom libraries needed more culturally relevant material. And so I understand this is part of that strategy.
That is 100% correct. And we believe that we need to always increase and add to our classroom libraries. We provided a research article in a previous board weekly update as well, just on the importance of having a wealth of books and books that represent our students as well as authors that look like our students. And so this is that approach to continue to increase.
I'm wondering if there was, if the intention is to have an independent style library or if it is in coordination with the new curriculum.
All of the above. This is definitely opportunities for independent readers, take-home readers, as well as to include for our read alouds and other components, as well as anchor text could be used for writing, etc.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Nama, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Motion carries 7. I move that the Board of Education enter into a lease with Capital Westtown LLC for the property at 7333 Westtown Way, Madison, Wisconsin, for MSCR programming and office space in the amount of $365,287.50 for 1 year. And then $373,238.75 for year 2, $381,180 for year 3, and thereafter increasing 2% annually through fiscal year 2041-42. Funding for this lease will come from the respective MSCR operating budget. Second, Board Member Vandermeulen, and then Board Member Vandermeulen, I hear you want to speak during this discussion. All right, we'll start with you.
My issue with this is not the building. My issue is the moving of the SAIL program. Right now, SAIL is less than 5-minute walking distance. It serves 12 to 20, according to the lead teacher who told me, she said it was 5 minutes walking distance. I walk incredibly fast, so to me, it's 5 minutes to there. It could be 8 minutes. I don't know. I've always been a speed walker. However, here's the issue. I'm afraid if we move these students in a program that's actually helping them to adjust to a 4-year high school, they will miss out on an inclusive education in their home district. I worry about the legal implications of FAPE, of free appropriate public education. But more importantly, I worry about the kids and what they're going to miss. The friendships that they've made, the after-school programs that they've done. To put them almost 4.57 miles away, I believe is what it said, is quite the distance, especially when the former special ed director did have an oral agreement that stated SAIL West would remain in walking distance. I know that MSCR needs a building. I know that Capitol High needs space, and I respect both of it. But this isn't a large program. The top number is 24, the lowest is 12. We are not talking a massive amount of space, but we are talking about an equity issue for individuals with disabilities to be educated with their peers, and for peers without disabilities to be able to collaborate with individuals. My colleague Fabian brought up an excellent point of how many individuals with disabilities and who are Black and brown are in special ed. And I know he brought that up several meetings ago. That's huge. And it's an error that MMSD has made over the years, way in the past. I can't change the past. But I'm just asking for this program that we not remake the same mistakes we made before, and that we try and include these students by keeping them close instead of putting them further away.
Thank you so much, Board Member Vandermeulen. Further discussion. Board Member Simpkin and Board Member Gomez-Schmidt.
So I have some questions about the process that led to SAIL being included in the proposal. I'm wondering if the staff and administrators who work with SAIL or in SAIL were able to give input into the impact of moving the program to be a bus ride away from West? And if so, what were their responses to that?
I'm going to have staff come up and address that. Dr. Boventer here as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I want to clarify that this space is primarily for MSCR, and in communication with Ms. Dyer, I had asked about student services renting a portion of the space for offering to a program similar to SAIL for Memorial High School, which is right down the street, and offering a shared space with West SAIL, at least temporarily, until we locate a suitable location. There has been a concerted effort by many people to find space that is within walking distance, because I agree completely with what you shared, Board Member Vandermeulen, that right now that program works well because it offers an opportunity for individualized instruction and a smaller environment for part of the day, and for scholars to still be included in their homeschool at West for the other portion of the day, and we absolutely want to support that. So this intent is just to offer a possibility for West Sale to partner with Memorial, potentially for 1 year as we continue our search for a more suitable space for West Sale. So I just wanted to clarify that I think that maybe that understanding wasn't a common understanding until I just spoke to the issue. Any additional questions for me?
Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
I guess I just respond to that and say, I appreciate that you're looking for an alternative space for 1 year. One of my concerns with having the space be a bus ride away is that my understanding is that a number of the children who are in this program have mental health issues, including things like anxiety, and a bus ride might not be accessible to them.
Sure.
And so, I wonder how this fundamentally changes the nature of the program by not allowing the students to be able to get to the half day at the school if that's something that's part of their programming.
Right. And I really appreciate that as well. So I will say a couple of things. One of them is that in working with our high schools for the past several years, our students we have similar programming through all of our high schools. And there are students who have had that same issue with walking, or who have had a physical disability and haven't been able to walk, so we've provided rides. And so that's something that each individual scholar's IEP team would consider. And it definitely does change the nature of the program if West decides to take up this offer from Student Services to utilize that space temporarily. It definitely changes the nature of the program for our scholars. There's no doubt about it. We were just seeking a solution in the interim before the most suitable, kind of a location was found. So but we would definitely do everything we could to provide transportation to ease the burden for our scholars. And also IEP teams would need to consider if it's still the right thing for them during this interim period if we don't find anything better in the meantime.
Just the other part of your question, how long we've been working with the staff. So if you want to address that as well, because earlier, I think it was said like we didn't have a conversation with the staff. We've been working with them.
Sure.
Want to just share
Yes,
that?
absolutely. So there have been many conversations, and for me, going back 2 years to the point in time when it was announced that Capital would be eventually moving into the space at the Hoyt building. I've worked very closely with West High School. I was their assistant director of student services before I was the interim executive director. And so it goes back, 2 years plus that I've worked with the staff who instruct at the SAIL program, as well as Dr. Baran and the former assistant principal who oversaw special education services. And then there have been many conversations this year. So, and we continue to meet and brainstorm and look for additional spaces. We've looked at many and just haven't come up with any that are reasonable in cost and at code where we wouldn't have to completely remodel the space, or where the landlord would allow us to utilize the space that's needed for the program. So it's definitely been a challenge to find the right location for them. But there have been many conversations and regular meetings. So, and I've talked personally to both of the teachers at the West program about our challenges and what we're offering as an interim solution. So I think we've tried very hard to communicate as much as possible.
So I guess one last question. If this location isn't chosen as an interim location, are there going to be other options before you have to decide what you're going to do for the fall semester?
Sure. So, Student Services plans to rent out part of this space, as I mentioned, as an option for Memorial High School, which is walking distance from the location. And so for West, there is one other location that they're looking at, although we're not sure that that's going to work out. They also have an option of creating space within their building to try to create the same instructional model. And so myself and the high school assistant director could work with them on that as well. We can continue to search. So that's not, we're not giving up. We're just I'm trying to create some possible solutions. so that we don't have nothing for
Thank you.
West. You're welcome.
Board Member Gomez Schmidt.
Thank you. I'm curious, when Capital High does the move and we consolidate all of the Capital High programs into the Hoyt building renovated, is there space? I mean, it sounds like the SAIL program from West takes up about 3 classrooms or 2 classrooms and an office space or something like that. Is there space that first year within Capital High to continue to have the SAIL program within that building?
There's not.
Okay.
So I think, to Board Member Vandermeulen's point, it would be a very odd situation to have students from one high school going into another high school to receive services. In that situation, I guess, it seems like professionals and scholars and families alike would recommend creating a space within West versus going to a different high school. So it creates a situation where then Capital High becomes responsible to some degree for another high school scholars. And it was a question that was posed a number of months ago, and the determination was that would not work out.
Okay, thank you. I just know that it's harder to find space within our comprehensive high schools, which is why these programs are located outside, because often the students need not so much the hustle and bustle of a 2,000 person building, and it creates a different environment. So thank you for the work that you're putting in to find these alternatives. And I'm wondering, do you think we could get a list, if the board could get a list of the different programs we have at our different high schools and where they're located and who we're partnering with to do those programs?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Board Member Vandermeulen and then Board Member Nichols.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
oh, sorry,
Just Board Member Vandermeulen.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no,
Michelle,
you're
I
okay.
apologize. Okay. Here, my issue is this: when you remove a program, it's almost impossible to get it back into mainstream area. Leap and Neon used to be in Lapham Elementary for multiple years, and then it got moved far away, and then eventually got put into Holzman, which is even farther drive away for parents to be able to see students. This is a program that is designed to help students work so they can do well in a comprehensive 4-year high school. If you cannot take the classes in a comprehensive 4-year high school, then it defeats the purpose of the program. Society for years, and this isn't a soapbox, but I got to speak my truth here. Society for years has made certain opinions on individuals with disabilities. And one of those is out of sight, out of mind. Our school district is smart enough not to have fallen for them. However, I don't want to be the first to start for it. I want our students to have the best because it's doable and it's possible. Memorial used to, in '93, have the best disability program in the Midwest. And I think honestly, it is doable. But my last point on this is that I seriously worry with a bus shortage as well on transportation and accessible transportation serving on the city's disability committee. Trying to find accessible transportation right now is near impossible, except to get people to medical appointments. I do not know how this is going to be able to be provided. And I don't believe it will be able to be provided in an equitable manner. For these reasons, I ask for that portion of this bill to be removed.
I'm sorry, are you asking to amend the motion?
Yes, I am.
What?
To remove the moving of Sail West from.
That doesn't exist in the motion.
Let me try again. I would like to use the budgetary funds that are used on Sail West to remain in a building no less than walking distance from West High School. I know they're looking at Bethel currently, is one of the places they're looking. And I would like to amend the motion as such.
The motion's going to fail without a second.
That's fine.
Board Member Vandermeulen, I greatly appreciate your remarks as well as the concern expressed by several other board members. I have had students who have benefited greatly from the SAIL program, located where it is located, and have walked from West High School to that program. It is about a mile, and students actually for a long time received Phi-Ed credit in order to participate because it's a significant walk, right? That being said, I think that we have to separate the lease agreement that we're talking about for MSCR from the component that is SAIL. And so I am voting in support of this motion because I do support this space for MSCR. And I think the temporary space that SAIL ends up in, you know, because we are creating capital high at Hoyt, is something that we need to be cognizant of and aware of in terms of making sure that we find a suitable space and a convenient space for the students who benefit from that program. So I completely agree with that and that priority voiced by the board. And I think that we fall into alignment with the administration in terms of that priority, or at least that's what I took from what Dr. Moffett just spoke to. Is there further discussion?
I'm going to need to ask for some help understanding what's happening right now. So so I see that the motion is related to the lease and not specifically related to particular programs. Is there money available for the SAIL program outside of this to rent a different space?
So I'm struggling right now if we're noticed to have that conversation. So I'm going to ask Sherry.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Muldrow. No, we are not noticed to have that conversation. Might I suggest that someone on the board could make the request that this review of the SAIL program and its location be scheduled for a future instructional work group meeting?
I would request that formally.
So we've got that request from Board Member Vandermeulen to Board Member Pearson. I think beyond that, I don't think we should continue the conversation that we're not noticed for. I very much respect what you're asking. All right, if there's no further discussion specific to this motion, I'm going to ask that we vote. So Nama, your okay. Nama, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
And thank you for putting it on a later instruction work group. That's really, then we could have an actual proper discussion. I appreciate that.
Other reports to the board, City of Madison Education Committee, Board Member Castro.
Yes, so the City of Madison Education Committee met last week, and we primarily discussed how the other entities of the committee will formally adopt the committee into their structure to get full commitment from the county and the city. And we also discussed the future membership and officers of that committee. As it was Board Member Mirilli's last meeting, we had a very nice send-off for Board Member Mirilli. And so we are looking to reconvene next month with the elevation of new members and election of new officers.
Student Senate, Nama.
Yeah, so this month, the Student Senate has just been gearing up for the upcoming spring election, which is in a few weeks, which is exciting. We currently have a lot of eager students who are interested in running for both president of Student Senate and representative to the Board of Education seats. Other than that, we've been working in our committees again, specifically on voter registration infographics and restorative justice practices, and we're preparing for transition as the year comes to an end.
Thank you so much for that update, Nama, and thank you for all the work you're doing with Student Senate. Madison School Community and Recreation Board Member Vandermeulen.
Yes, we were discussing whether or not on the lease of the building is the last thing that we also discussed on MSCR. We're also just we just swore in new members and have background checked 6 of them. We are looking forward to it. And our next meeting is in June.
Thank you so much for that update, Board Member Vandermeulen. Safety and Student Wellness Ad Hoc, Gordon.
Yes, thank you. During our past meeting, the Safety and Wellness Committee, we worked to set out essentially like a communications framework on how we're going to communicate as a core group to our stakeholder groups and then to our community. We laid out a shared vision for guiding questions that when our stakeholder groups go out and seek input, that we will all have the same comprehensive questions that we will ask community members. So what that means is that for let's say the teachers stakeholder group, we will ask them the same 3 guided questions on shared vision as we would, let's say, youth and family. And just so we can get a general idea of what is expected from each select demographic within our community in terms of what it means to them for safety and wellness. Aside from that, we discuss further on what exactly is the purpose of stakeholder groups, because there seems to be some confusion between that and core groups. And that is just so that we can enlist as much community input as possible, and so we can get the community involved as much as possible as well, because we understand that this effort would be one that we need to take from the ground up. And we are willing to, work with our community and actually go into the schools to get this done as well. After the meeting, we have met with Dr. Jenkins and Dr. McGregory to further discuss communications and to highlight the fact that we may need the superintendent's office to reach out to high school principals to get their input on a lot of our vision goals, as well as to garner their support for what we want to do at their respective high schools. And lastly, we have an upcoming meeting this Thursday, and we hope to continue our efforts with communication and to, finally get into the stage of visioning what we want this committee to accomplish before I link this up.
Thank you so much, future Congressman Allen. I greatly appreciate you. Citizens Ad Hoc Committee relative to renaming Jefferson Middle School, we will hear from Dr. Hicks.
May I be excused from this conversation as I have conflict of interest?
Absolutely, if that's what you prefer, Nikki.
Yes, I would, so I will take my leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Muldrow. Have 2 co-chairs, Solange Rodriguez and Latisha Nelson, and we will be having our first meeting shortly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hicks. I move that the Board of Education disallow a claim on behalf of a minor child and their parents under Wisconsin State Statute 893.8 and said claim alleging liability-based negligence by district and district personnel.
Second.
Second, Board Member Vandermeulen. Nama, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7. I move that the Board of Education disallow a claim on behalf of a patron of MSCR under Wisconsin State Statute 893.80 and said claim alleging liability-based negligence by the district and district personnel.
Second.
Second, Board Member Castro. Nama, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Motion carries 7. There is no new business for this meeting, and therefore I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, Cris Gomez Schmidt.
Oh, yeah.
Nama, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7. Y'all have a nice night.
You too. Thank you.